Hey, this is Rob Anspach, and welcome back to eHeroes. Today's episode is episode 213. I never thought I'd get this far, but here we are. And, it's just one of those things where, as an entrepreneur, you don't know exactly what you're getting into. And I think it kind of goes into my next guest because we're going to talk about, you know, are you primed to actually be an entrepreneur, to have a business, to deal with the longevity of having a business? And so I want to welcome my next guest, Michelle. Is it Nedelec? Did I
Yeah,
get that
good
close?
job. Yes,
Yeah,
thank you
I
for
mean,
having
I,
me. I'm
I, I
excited to be
butcher
here.
everybody's name, but today I got lucky.
Hey.
But we're going to talk about all this great stuff that entrepreneurs probably should know, but a lot of them don't. And they get into business and then they wonder, why aren't I getting any money? That's because you weren't prepared. So,
Yeah.
and I think COVID really killed a lot of businesses too because they didn't know how to deal with the shutdown for a period of time.
Yeah.
Most people say, hey, I can deal with it for 2 weeks. Not a problem. 2 years, most of them are out of business.
Yeah. It was really sad. We had a lot of restaurants closed down here, and we didn't have to because the ones that survived took a window and turned it into a drive-through.
Uh,
And you could see it happening really quickly with things like Denny's and the bigger ones that had the wherewithal to go, so what, we have a drive-through window,
yeah.
right? But a lot of the ones that unfortunately didn't survive,
Now I'm in
which is
Pennsylvania. You're in Calgary, and
I am.
a lot of the things that we suffered here in the United States, you guys suffered in Canada. And yeah, in my previous episode, we were just talking about drive-through windows, and we kind of used Chick-fil-A as an example because they shut down their dining rooms. They
Yep.
they they didn't bring enough staff in because they knew they could just run it through the drive-through, and a lot of them preferred to do it that way because they're making more money. But now everybody's like, well, I want a sit-down restaurant, open up again, and some
Right.
of them are like, no, we don't have to.
We don't have to eat at Chick-fil-A.
We don't have to. No, go to
Okay.
Hortons.
Exactly.
Don't know
We're
if
gonna
that's
drive
better.
5,000 miles to go and visit Jimmy's.
I don't know about that. Um,
Yeah, no, not
I
worth the
don't
ride.
even go to Starbucks,
Well, for
so
that.
yeah, Starbucks was worse. I mean, here they shut down everybody. Only drive through. So how do
Wow.
you deal? How do you deal? I mean, I know some of the things in Canada are a little different than we do things here in the United States, and but how did you overcome or help your clients overcome some of that?
Well, we were in a unique position because what we do is the tech for people and we're helping them get online. So we actually boomed, which was fantastic. And all of our clients are virtual.
Hmm.
They always have been. So it was kind of funny when they mandated that, okay, everybody's working from home now. We're having our usual team meeting. It's like, okay, everybody pack up your stuff and go home. I
Yeah,
am home.
yeah,
So it was, we didn't have the unfortunateness of a lot of companies. Um, and we didn't have some of the fortunateness of some companies because some companies skyrocketed. They just through the roof. It was awesome. We were just kind of on a steady pace and continued on. What we did do though is we started working with solopreneurs.
mhm,
Previous to that, we were working with solely kind of the million to 20 million kind of clientele. And we opened up our kind of a system to be able to help small businesses. And that thrived because the starting entrepreneurs, they don't have a clue about tech. They don't have a clue what kind of software they should have. They don't know what CRM stands for. It's just, it's the things when we're like, what do you mean you don't know what a CRM is?
it stands for
They just
can't
don't.
remember money.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's been fun and entertaining, and it's been fun helping people grow their businesses and helping them with their jam. Because basically, when people work with us, we're kind of acting as their fractional CMO
Hmm.
and their fractional CIO. So we're helping them to structure their marketing, figure it all out so that they're not there alone. And the ones that have thrived the most are the ones that work with us and go, okay, so how do we use this? What are we doing? Like we are their project manager for their marketing and tech, and that has worked phenomenally well.
I know for me, it's a lot of my clients that were in that situation where, they could afford X amount, before the pandemic, realized that it wasn't enough to get them through the pandemic. And then I would say, look, in order for you to, overcome this, we have to do X, Y, and Z, but you're only doing A, B, and C. So it requires you to spend more money. And they're like, yeah, but we're not getting sales now. Well, yeah, you gotta put, and the logic they just couldn't figure out. They were like, well, I can't even afford to pay you this, but now you want this to do more. And,
A lot of people just don't realize the cost of startup.
Yeah.
Like once upon a time, I used to get a lot of propositions from multi-level marketing companies. It was like, hey, you can start a business for only, $500 and you get the whole kit and you get all your inventory, you get all your everything. But what they don't tell you is, yeah, and you still got to learn how to sell. You still have to learn how to have conversations with people. You still have to learn get out of your own way and do things. And the majority of it is really getting out of your own way. We were just teasing on another podcast that entrepreneurialism is the gateway drug for personal development. So, whatever you paid to get in on it, that's just starting point.
I started a cleaning business in 1995, and by 1998 I was almost dead broke because I didn't understand the systems. Right. I thought, well, I could buy a franchise and that would cost a lot of money. Sweet. Or I could go it on my own and see what happens. Well,
either way, you still have that learning.
Yeah. Well, so by 1998, I'm like struggling on what am I doing? I'm copying all my competitors. I'm doing all this wrong stuff. It's not making me any money. So I went to Arizona, went to a marketing convention, learned marketing. I came back with all these brilliant ideas, changed how I was doing things, slaughtered my competition, and just expanded my business to the point where it was like, great, now I have to learn all new systems to deal with employees, to do with this, do with that. But all that stuff taught me how to be a better entrepreneur. So by the time I transitioned out of that industry and into coaching and teaching people, I knew that this is what you had to do to teach others. But it was the same struggle. Everything that I struggled with, everybody else is struggling with. And now, and back then I didn't have a CRM. I didn't have a database. I didn't have, so
I don't think there were databases back then in your defense.
So, now you got so much, to me, it's a little bit easier to deal with clients, at least tracking them. You just have to remember to enter their data in. But a lot of times, the emails and everything else are structured to just automatically filter all that. So it's to me, it's you spend 100, 200 hours on the CRM, but it's going to lighten the load so much that you can focus on other stuff.
Well, absolutely. And a lot of people are asking, does automation take away the personality from your business? I'm like, absolutely not. You want automation to take care of the crap jobs that nobody wants to do. Right. We're teasing. We're kind of like the plumbers for your business, dealing with all the crap nobody wants to. But it's, when somebody's credit card expires and you have a monthly membership, nobody wants to make the call and say, hey, your credit card didn't want to go through or didn't go through. And nobody wants to get the call and say, oh, well, I kind of overspent this or, right. Hey, bills are piling up. So you want those things automated. You want them to get an email that goes, hey, I don't know if your credit card expired, but it didn't go through. You can update your card here. Click and bam. There's no human interaction. Nobody needs to be embarrassed. It's just an expired date. Who cares? Or whatever. Put it on a new card, do those things. Those kind of things, people really don't want to deal with people. And there's also certain things that become repetitious that you don't want to have to answer that question again. You don't want to have to tell that staff person again what they need to do when you start off. So if you're having the same conversation 3 times, record it and then send it to your new client, send it to your new employees, send it to your new whatevers, and alleviate those things that create that
Mhm.
ad nauseum in your job so that you can go on and face the things that are fun for you, the fulfillment of it or the onboarding or, finding new clients, whatever it is that gets your jam going.
Well, yeah, and I think the easiest thing to do is have a little bit of automation so that, like you said, these are the steps for new employees. So you send it to them. Every day they're getting something different from you to learn from. Same with your
Right.
new clients. And what I used to do is called pre-sell the upsell. So when someone would call me, instead of me going through the whole rant over the phone and me getting sick of myself for repeating it for the thousandth time, I would say, can I get your email? We'll send you some instructions. And then in there, I would have coupons that they could use while my tech was there. And so this way, they're already inclined to buy. Now they're buying something more that I didn't really have to sell them on, but I'm pre-selling it to them. So when the tech comes, it's already a done deal. And
Right.
now the tech's making more money while he's there, or we're making more money.
Right.
And it made the client at ease because I'm not pressuring them. I'm just suggesting some other stuff that they could use. And you know, every job would, they would say, well, I only want this, but after they get the coupons, now it's an extra $100 in our pocket.
Right.
And you repeat that 3 or 4 times a day, and you're making more money.
Right. Like, and that to me is brilliant marketing in that you're giving people what they want when they want it. And those are the kind of things that you want to be able to automate in your business. And the secret that you knew that a lot of people don't is what is that journey? What is that going to look like for your ideal client to go from one step to the next? And how do you make that as easy and effortless as possible? And for the most part, it's really you getting out of the way so that your clients can give you money.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
um,
And the thing is, back then, we didn't have social media the way we have it now. And so now it's always this know, like, and trust factor. I also add and feel safe. So,
right.
a client needs to know, like, trust, and feel safe with you. Well, back then I didn't know those phrases because we didn't really use them in our lexicon. So when I would walk into people's homes, the majority of my clients at the time were women. I had to make them feel safe, before I walked in that door,
Right.
or before my tech walked in the door. And they didn't know me.
Mhm.
They didn't like me because they didn't know, So when you have a website that showcases your face, your employees, and a little bio about them, they feel safe because now they know who's coming to the door. If you
Right.
send them an email and say, "Hey, Rob's coming to your door," or Alex, or Gene, or whoever, they have an idea now who to expect. This is the picture, what they look like, and that way your tech's not showing up blind. You have no idea who they are. You don't know if
Mm.
they're legitimate or not.
Well, and it really doesn't matter who it is. So for example, we had pizza delivered the other night and we had to pay for it and give the tip before
Hmm.
anybody showed up. I'm like, this is a terrible idea. Because right now I'm just ticked and I don't want to tip anybody, which is the whole ass backwards way of doing it, right? And then the delivery guy comes and he was hilarious. He was funny. He's like, "Hey, I got your golden ticket here." He's kidding. I just have a pizza. Pizza. And it was, yeah, and it was a lot of fun. I'm like, oh, I totally would have tipped you more. And now I can't go back and tip him more, which is again a really dumb idea.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even rate him. I couldn't do anything. So it was it doesn't matter what your business is, you are proverbially coming in through the front door and they want to have an idea of who you are because as soon as you ring that doorbell, it's too late.
Well,
Like, well, it's
with
not too late, but you know
right,
what I mean.
the systems have changed a little bit, and like you said, you now have to tip before the person comes to your door. Or I go to a restaurant to pick up my pizza, and they're wanting a tip. I'm like, you didn't do anything,
Anything.
but I got to
Right?
tip you.
And
No,
they
the
get
system's
paid
broken.
$15 an hour. And you're like,
So I
I
mean,
got $2 an hour when I did your job.
yeah,
No,
I mean, I did Domino's
this
delivery a long, long time ago,
was a
and I
while
think
ago.
I was like $3, $4 an hour plus tips, and
Right?
it was horrible. I mean, although comparable when you look at what they're tipping back then versus now, I think I made more money.
Exactly.
But
Huh.
a lot of
Pros and cons.
a lot of our places here have switched to not having their own drivers and using Uber Eats or DoorDash or I think it's a little different up in Canada.
No,
It's
we're the same.
Postmates or something.
Yep.
And but yeah, and it used to be 30 minutes or less you get your delivery, but now it's like an hour and a half and you're still waiting for the driver to find his way.
Right. It's like,
I
you
just
have
paid you
GPS,
$20
right?
tip and you still can't find me. Yeah, so it's but yeah, going back to systems. I mean,
Mhm.
is there a system that not necessarily CRM, but is there a system that works for every business, or is it you basically have to create them as you
As you go,
go?
there are certain best practices, if you will. So in the world of online marketing, SaaS business, so software as a service,
Mhm.
things like everything right now. This is a SaaS. You can't have, an operating system without paying for it monthly, and not having it on your computer. But basically, that industry perfected the world of digital marketing, and everybody else is looking at them going, okay, what did they do and how did they do it, and how do we emulate that? As time goes on, obviously there are different aspects to it that you want to kind of change up and modernize and look at. The long letter still has a sales letter, still has its place occasionally, but really if you can get your point across in 9 words or less, you can make just as much money as you did writing a long email 5 years ago. So in that realm, two things. One is there is a best practice. Yes, times change, and you can learn a lot from other industries as opposed to saying, oh, because I'm in real estate, this works for me. Oh, because I'm a dentist, this works for me. You can stand out from the crowd by learning about other industries and how they market as well, because
Mm-hmm.
the way somebody markets a house is very different than the way that they market orthodontics. But if you can take the little things that work from the people that sell houses and apply it into orthodontics, you stand out, you make a lot more money being able to work that way. So it's this kind of funky, in my opinion, conglomeration of there is no such thing as a unicorn in business.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody is different than everybody else. Business is business. You have clients, you charge money, and in a world where you keep going, you have a profit margin.
And that's the title of my next Rob versus book. It's Rob versus the Unicorns.
I can't wait.
Oh
It'll
my
be a good
God.
visual.
It's I have it comes out in September 16th. By the video of this will be out already. The audio will probably be out the month afterwards. But yeah, it's everybody thinks they're this golden person that can deliver, and I'm like, God,
No,
I just
no.
want to destroy
Sorry,
you.
honey, you're not special. Aw.
Yeah, but
But seriously, I mean, how much further ahead would you have been in business if somebody had told you you're not special? These are the rules.
oh,
This is how it
I got
goes.
that.
Bam, right?
I met Dan Kennedy back in
Nice.
1998 at this very first marketing conference that I've ever went
You
to.
don't know who Dan Kennedy is? Look him up.
And
It's awesome.
at the time, I didn't know who he was.
Right?
And so during a break from the conference, we were all out in this area, and I sat at a table, or I was going to sit at the table. Dan was already sitting there, but at the time, I hadn't known who he was. I just saw this old guy sitting there, and I said, "Do you mind if I sit down?" I said, "Sure." So I sat down. He starts talking to me, asked me what I did. I'm like, clean carpet, blah blah blah. And after a while, he's like, you're not special, you're not this, you're not that. And I just wanted to get up and punch him in the face because this old guy telling me I'm not special.
I felt sorry for you because you were alone. That's why I sat here.
Yeah, so it's like,
Meanwhile, he's
so I walk away, and then the conference got called back into the room, and I'm sitting in the back, and they call the next speaker up, and I see this grumpy old guy walking up on stage, and I'm like, holy shit. And I'm using a couple choice curse
expletive,
words.
expletive.
And
Pink, pink,
so
pink.
he gets up there and he brings his this what is that? I don't even know what they uses, but it came
The
out from
overhead sheets,
overhead. Yeah, it came out, this thing that came out of the 50s.
right?
And I'm just watching them and I'm thinking, wow, this guy's pretty darn smart. I'm learning this marketing. It's pretty cool, makes sense to me. And I'm thinking, man. So that was my very first meeting of Dan Kennedy, and I wanted to
Okay.
punch him. But the thing is like, that was 20 some years ago. And the
Mhm.
guy still looks like he's 100 and some years old. And, not that much older than me. So it's like, dude, what? So,
I always said in business coaching, it's not a good day if somebody doesn't call me a capital B or start crying. So
yeah,
it's,
well,
you're just telling them the truth, and the truth sucks, especially when your business sucks. And you're like,
I
thanks,
I make
thanks.
it a
What
point
is it?
now on social media to trigger at least one person a day, and I want to feel superior like Dan Kennedy did to me, and that's my goal. But Dan is the catalyst that made me want to be a writer. I started reading
Wow.
his stuff back then,
Yeah.
and I thought, I can do this. But that was 98. My first book wasn't written until 2013. So, there's a good 15 years there, but it planted that seed, and it
Yeah.
took a while till I got the courage to finally, write something that was worthy of people reading. But, 9 years later, and we produced 36 books for others.
I was going to
So
say, and now you're completely prolific.
I don't know about that. I'm
13 books is a lot of books, dude. Especially when
I'm
it takes most people 3 years to even write
yeah.
one.
I still hate grammar. I mean, I
Well,
don't know where to put the period or the question mark, or, you know, I,
that's
I
what editors are for.
I love putting ellipses, dot, 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 right? And I was writing a book for somebody, and they're paying me lots of money, and they're like, "What the bleep are you doing with his ellipses?" I'm like, "That's my style." And they're like, "You're fired." I'm like, "Good. I didn't want to write this book." And they came
Oh
back to
yeah.
me 2 weeks later, and they're like, "The client likes it." I'm like, "Well, good,
Right.
because you're going to pay me more money now."
Right.
And they weren't too happy, but hey, it was the client's choice.
I write books like I market. So everything's a half sentence, dot, 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 capital in the middle. It's drive them nuts. It's like, what are you doing? I said, I'm allowing the eye to flow. Nobody's going to read that. Nobody's going to read this anyway. So just allow their lives to flow, and it's all good. You can correct my grammar to your heart's content.
Well,
But
I tell people, I said, "Did you enjoy the book?" They're like, "Yeah." And then they'll go on, "But there's mistakes." I'm like, "I don't care about the mistakes. You read the
yay, you
book,
win the
you
prize. You
like the
found
book.
them.
You want a
I
dollar,
told
a
everybody who
sticker,
read
or
the
something?"
book, it's like first one to find my typos wins. And because I'd gone over it so many times, I was sick of reading it. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, there are no typos in this book. I know it. And then my son reads it and he goes, yeah, page 1. Oh my God, you're killing me. So anybody else that points out typos, I'm like, sorry, that prize was already won for that typo. You gotta find another one.
Yeah, I'll tell, and so what I've been doing the last probably 6 or 7 books, weeks before the books are even finalized to go to Amazon, I'll go to social media and I'll say, "Who wants to preview the copy of the book?" And people are like, "Yeah, yeah, send it to me." So I'll send out 20 or 30 copies, and they're like, "There's a mistake on this page and this page and this page." I'm like, "Oh, thanks," and I go back and correct them all.
Can you mark those in red? That'd be awesome.
And I'm like, so I don't have to pay anybody to edit my books
Nice.
because they do it for free.
Right?
So,
It's the benefit of having friends in
I
business.
think that everybody that has a business, one, needs to do it on their terms and conditions, but also has to have systems in place that makes it easy for them, that if they want to go on vacation, take a day off, or do whatever, that the person stepping into their shoes understands what has to be done.
Well, and are they the right personality for it too? Because I think not everybody sees typos, right?
Right.
But there are definitely those what I call S-type personalities, those systems that they have to have their T's crossed and their I's dotted and the typos in the right place. But they're fabulous for organizing your office, for your files, for knowing what your SOPs are. And like they have their strengths, and then you get the techies and they have their strengths because they're analytical and they're logic thinking, and they're going through, they go through and they test what it looks like from somebody else's eyes. And, you know, high D's just don't do that. We don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll have your own experience of my marketing. It's all good.
I've been taking notes, and what people don't realize is that even I can't understand my note taking. So when I go back to decipher, podcasts or whatever I'm doing, I usually have to guess at what I wrote. 'Cause it's so mess. Like, how the hell
I
did
was really
you
just writing it to make an impression on my, my psyche.
or I'll read, because our brains are wired so that as long as certain things are like words are in certain sections, like this could be TISH, but I'll still know that it's this.
Mhm.
And so when I'm reading, words could be all jumbled up. They make
PHIS
sense to
is
me.
this.
And I'm like, people were like, Rob, are you something wrong with you? That doesn't even make sense. I said, what are you talking about? It makes perfect sense.
I used to have a friend that wrote notes and everything looked like a capital L and then a smush all the way across every word almost. And I'm like, dude, these little bumps in the middle, those are letters.
Yeah.
Now you can read what you wrote.
But I go back and I look at some of the stuff that my mom did in high school when she took shorthand.
Right.
I have no idea what all that gibberish is. So, I mean, my
It's a
stuff
dying
can't be
art,
any better than what that was.
right? Hieroglyphics. That
Yeah,
is a dying art. And I think it's funny too that handwriting is becoming hieroglyphics to people.
yeah. I
The
mean,
kids hand them a note and they're like, I have no idea what that says.
my signature is worse than a doctor's, and my wife goes, "Can you just sign the kid's prescription? Nobody's gonna know." I'm like, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
you know, I think that entrepreneurs most of them should take some type of class or learn some type of structure. But yeah, I've known people that have been in business 20, 30 years, and they approach me and they're like, can you help me with these systems? And I'm like, how did you even manage to get through 20 to 30 years of business and not have any systems in place? And
How do you not run into furniture when you
like, it just boggles my mind. How are you still in business?
walk?
How did you
Uh,
not get audited?
I still have to laugh because sometimes it's the bigger companies, especially here, that are still back doing things. And it kind of cracks me up because I went into one company and a phone call will come in, the order is placed, the receptionist will actually write down the order on triplicate paper, which means that there's 3 pieces of paper with carbon in between them, which most people have never seen before, let alone know what that is anymore. And they still do that. And I'm like, well, and why do you do it that way? One, because we've always done it that way. Two, because then I can visually see that, if these orders have been taken and I know which ones haven't been taken, I'm like, you can see it on a spreadsheet too, right? It's like, that big square thing on your desk? On the
Yeah,
computer.
and here in the United States, we have this thing called Paperwork Reduction Act, which is an oxymoron because honestly, it takes 5 times more paperwork to deal with. And it's like, you have a computer, enter it into the computer. Oh, and then they print out emails. And I'm like, you just wasted so much paper.
Although in their defense, I will say I am getting old, and people that can do their business on a cell phone, I don't get. I'm like, dude, how do you even see that for starters? Second of all, like, how do you open up a spreadsheet on a cell phone and read it? They're
Yeah,
like, oh, it's easy. Just go. Like,
I
okay.
don't mind working on my phone. And then my phone's an iPhone 12. Took me a while to upgrade because I was iPhone 6 for a long, long time. And I said I wasn't going to upgrade.
By the
What?
time this show comes out, it'll be iPhone 20 and you'll be out of date anyway. So
Yeah, probably. But what I don't like to do is go into a restaurant and scan a QR code and then trying
right
to look at a menu on my
menu.
phone and go, And they're like, what do
You
you
got to
order?
know your audience. This comes back to you got to know your audience. You can over automate because you don't know your audience. It's
Like,
no, I
yes.
really want the great big piece of paper that's laminated in plastic. Like, what? Like, can I have a menu?
Yeah, I was at I guess I forget what restaurant it was. I went in there, they're like, no, you just have to scan it. I'm like, no, just get me a real menu. Our printer's busted. I think your staff is busted. I'm out of here. I'm like, you know,
I
but
did see one restaurant that had a really cool idea. They had a roll of paper and they would print them out on demand, which is probably what she was getting at. And but I thought it was hilarious. But then they just use the paper, the menu, whatever, to wipe up and clean up the tables, which I thought was kind of brilliant. And
yeah,
so every day the menu changes and they just print out new ones for the day and you're good to go.
yeah, it's weird. You know, restaurants don't even put their menus on online. So it's like I can't see what you got. I got to actually physically get there, and then you want me to squint to see it. Like,
Scan the QR code. Yeah, you
I'm
get it big enough and all
old.
you can see is the price,
Yeah.
picture the plate.
And I'm like, no, just yeah,
Know your audience, people.
it
If your
is it
audience
is
is 80 years old, they're not on TikTok, so you don't have to waste your business day doing TikTok ads because they're not there. Your
yeah.
audience is
I haven't. I think I spent 5 minutes on TikTok once. I'm like, no, I'm not. This ain't for me. I'm not dancing and I'm not pointing, so
right.
it's
Yeah,
not my
no,
audience. And the majority of my audience are lawyers and doctors, and
they're not on
I don't
TikTok.
see them pointing at stuff and dancing and really.
Do you imagine?
Imagine a heart surgeon getting on TikTok going,
Dude, I'm in your office.
dude, I'm not
Not
going to you. No,
right.
this is where your heart is. This is. I'm like, this is so stupid. So yeah, most of where I go is it's
You're awesome.
Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube and
Well, and clearly your audience reads still,
I don't know
which is
about that.
awesome.
I was thinking about making a Rob versus pop-up book, but I think it would probably poke people's eyes out and I'd get sued.
Razor blades coming up.
Yeah, it's like I know my audience, but honestly, if I say too much about them, they'll sue me for defamation.
It just applies to all my clients. I wasn't really talking about you.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, some of my
there's that.
clients are really smart. Honestly, they
Right?
are, and I only say that because I just insulted them a little bit.
Well, they're doctors, they're lawyers, they're engineers. Clearly, they're smart.
And
Yeah.
just some of them have gone to the Vulcan School of No Emotion, and
Uh,
to try to get them to, tell their story or to, share anything about them is like pulling teeth. You just, you know,
my favorite is when they say, "Can you write my marketing?" It's like, I'm not a engineer. I'm not a dentist. Like, I have no idea what you actually do. Like, no. I
yeah.
mean, if you sit with me for an hour and answer some questions, I might. But no, I can't just make stuff up and run your business for you.
Oh, I've made stuff up.
Yeah, I can make stuff. Don't get me wrong. I can make stuff up. And whether or not you want to fulfill on those promises that I just made.
Hey,
So
Rob, how
that's up
come
to
all
you.
these wackadoos are showing up at my door? What did
Right?
you What did you say? I don't know, but you got more business.
Right? All these people want free orthodontics.
Yeah, so it's so what you do and
Mhm.
how I don't know how you got started. Maybe one day you just decided, hey, I can't stand this world anymore. I got to straighten things up. But it's kind of
Somebody told me the best plan of action was to go uh from owning a ad agency to becoming a business coach to becoming a consultant. I said, wow, that's awesome. I've been a consultant, I've been a business coach. I think I should go in a marketing agency. They're like, no, that's not what I said at all.
yeah. It's
Don't do
people
that.
say, well, Rob, wait, you do marketing, you do book publishing, you do, but weren't you a carpet cleaner? Yeah, can I be more than just a
And your
carpet cleaner?
point.
Once I'm a carpet cleaner, that's it. That's all I can be.
I moved furniture in my house once too. That doesn't define me.
Yeah, people change your stars. That's what I did. If I could do it, anybody could do it. I mean, it's like not rocket science. I mean, one day maybe I'll work for NASA. I mean, I still got hopefully 47 more years to go. Then I'll reach 100, and then we'll see what happens. I
NASA,
still
on the
know
other
what I
hand, has
want to do
been
when I
shut
grow
down,
up.
so I don't think you want to work for them.
Yeah, I bet I have better luck though than what they're doing right now. Yeah. So yeah, we've been. Geez,
Oh yeah,
this
I
has been,
probably have a client coming. I should probably. You've been way too much fun. It's awesome.
and see, these podcasts are
Mhm.
great because we can have fun. We can have just a conversation. Sometimes people are going, Rob, you went off on a tangent.
What? Me?
Everything I do is on a tangent. You know, pay
Who
attention.
likes to walk the straight and narrow? Come on.
And see, the thing is if we're having these types of conversations, it means that you're having the same type of conversation, and you want to learn more. You want to know what's going on, and whether you hire me, whether you hire Michelle, whether you hire somebody else, you have to learn to communicate, and that's what we're doing. We're having this conversation. We're learning from each other. We're knowing, hey, this is what makes things tick in Calgary. This is what makes things tick in Pennsylvania. Um, and but the thing is, systems are systems, and they'll work whether you're a plumber, whether you're a carpet cleaner, whether you're a marketer, whether you're a rocket science. So what I tell people is you know if the system is too complicated, your head's gonna explode. So keep them as simple as possible, so that you know how they work. Any people coming in know how they work, and you never overcomplicate something.
Exactly.
So
Quickest path to cash, and then build out from there. Once you have the money to play and waste time and money, then you can waste time and money.
right.
Until then, don't waste time and money.
So how do people find you? Where do they go? I mean, besides going all the way up to Calgary.
You could come visit. That'd be all right. Easier way to go to awarenessstrategies.com and go and play with some of the assessments, quizzes, the surveys, all the kind of fun stuff that we have. We have ones on your tech stack. We have ones on branding. We have ones on all sorts of fun stuff. And they all end with, you can have a call with me and you'll get my contact info, and let's talk strategy and have some fun with it.
There you go. And see, this is what makes Michelle an e-hero, regardless of whether she's in Canada or in the United States. It's all the same. I mean,
Right?
And so you want brilliant advice, go to Michelle. You want sarcastic answers, you come to me.
Exactly.
So, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Adios.